I don't have time to go print it.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. We're going to get started, so if you wouldn't mind just taking a seat. Hi, how are you? So I do try to always start on time. It is 12:02, so my apologies for starting late. First, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Dave Lazarus. I am the very proud principal of Roslyn High School, and it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you all here today as the new Roslyn High School class families of 2030. So welcome. I know I've met many of you before during our orientation in the winter and obviously in my years in the district. This is my 12th year going. It's crazy how fast time goes, and this is my second year as principal and 7th year in the high school. So it's really a wonderful place. And just for those who don't know me, I came from the middle school. I was the assistant principal there for 5 years before moving up to the high school. So I'm very familiar with that transition from middle school to high school. And I assure you, you're going to hear a lot of information today. You're probably going to feel a little overwhelmed. You're definitely going to have some questions. But at the end of this, you will be ready, and your children will be even more ready. So try and take a breath. This is just day one. You've got 4 years, so being a little overwhelmed, having some questions, being a little nervous, it's definitely normal, so it's okay. The transition can feel a lot. Can be very overwhelming for students, for families, but just know that you're gonna hear from a lot of us today. There is nothing but support for you and for your children over the next 4 years. And one of the things that you're going to hear over and over again is if you have questions, never hold on to them. Always reach out. Find people who can answer your questions, whether it's other parents or reaching out to the school directly. How many people are first-time parents at the high school? Okay, wow. All right. And how many are returning? A lot more new than returning, so that's good. This really is exciting, and you can be some of those resources for our new parents. Roslyn High School is really a wonderful place, and one of the things that I personally very much so believe in and will be working on over the 4 years that your students are here is really building that sense of belonging. We've worked very closely with our OCC, which is our student government, the Organization of Class Councils, on really building that sense of community and school spirit, and that all ties into this sense of belonging that we will continue to be pursuing for your kids, so they really feel that this is their home, that you are connected to this school, and that they will always be part of Roslyn High School. So these are the points that we're going to be addressing today. Just a welcome. I'm going to introduce you to all of the people that are standing over there. We'll talk about communication, attendance and logistics. You'll hear from our Dean of Students. Academics at the high school, you'll hear from one of our assistant principals, as well as our Director of Guidance. And you'll also hear from our Director of Special Ed and PPS about student supports, and then we'll open it up for any questions at the end. So, without further ado, I'd like to just introduce a few important people. So if the building team can come join me, and Tanya. So as I said, I'm Dave Lazarus. I'm the high school principal. The assistant principal that will be working with the grade 9 and the class of 2030 is Sandy Stuber. Our other assistant principal, who primarily works with grades 11 and 12, or 10 and 12, excuse me, this year, is Miss Jessica Graff. And our dean of students is Chris Boza.
How's everybody doing?
And like I said, you'll hear from everybody at different points during today. And then we have Ms. Baptiste, our truly esteemed Director of Guidance and Counseling K-12. Many of you already know her or have heard from her or have certainly seen many, many emails from her. So Tanya, if you want to just introduce yourself.
I'm going to talk at the end, so I have a whole section to do. But welcome, everyone. We're glad to have you.
Yes, perfect. Okay, department chairs, if you want to come forward. And we're almost in alphabetical order. Almost. Okay, so first we have Danielle Pappas, who is our World Languages Chair and E&L. Jennifer Sapir, she is English. Joseph Van Wy is our brand new Social Studies Chairperson. Gary Ramanetti, who is our Science and Technology, and good afternoon. And Charlie Winwer is Math. So these are all of your contacts when it comes to content-related questions, things that are going on in the classroom. And you'll hear about this when we talk about communication. My first piece of advice is always to go to the teacher first when it's something that the teacher can answer, but then they're going to be your next step, especially when it's things that have to do with curriculum or goings-on in the classroom. So thank you, chairs. I appreciate it. You will see them around. Many of you have already had interactions with them during your time at the middle school. And lastly, I would introduce our directors, but we only have Ms. Samide, or not only, we are lucky to have Ms. Samide. She is our Director of Special Education and PPS, and she is also joined by Marnie Cohen on the secondary level, who could not be here today, as well as Dr. Michael Brustowski. He is the head of physical education, health and athletics and recreation. Many of you have already been in contact with him, as I've heard, and he is right now tending to tryouts. And Keith Macias, who is our head of security, he is a great resource if you ever have any questions regarding that. And I'd also like to just take a moment to introduce our secondary assistant superintendent, Michael Goldspiel, and Allison Brown, our wonderful superintendent of schools. So thank you both for being here. Thank you everybody for being here today. I appreciate it. Okay, and without further ado, I'm going to throw it to our PFA. We are incredibly lucky to have three wonderful women who serve as co-presidents of our PFA. I've had the fortunate privilege of working with them for many years in different capacities. So I'd like to introduce Liz Neal, Jocelyn Wasserman, and Catherine Torsinski.
Hi everyone, I'm Liz Neal, for those of you that don't know me.
Hi, I'm Jocelyn Wasserman, and we're in this together because you know I'm a freshman parent, so happy to see all of you today.
Good morning, I'm Catherine Torsinski, and we were just remarking outside that you may know our faces because this trio was together 2 years ago at the middle school. So thank you for joining us here in person and through remote.
So I feel like I got most of you on your way in and handed you a piece of paper. First and foremost is our PFA dues. That was what we handed out to you, so just so you can kind of appreciate, and I'll explain why. We are up here to share with you everything that we do from a PFA perspective and welcome you, obviously, first and foremost, to the building. We support the staff, we support the students, and similar to how we kind of did at the middle school, we are in charge of things like staff appreciation, and you'll see the waters outside, and when your kids leave, there will be an ice cream truck, and for those of you that pay your PFA dues right now, you can get a coffee on your way out. And that is all done from the budget that we get, which is supported by that $30 that you donate to us. And it really does help do things also like the staff appreciation breakfast that we will have next week when the staff come in. So throughout the year, you guys all kind of know, and if you're new to the district, we do lots of different activities and support. The high school is a little bit different. I feel like every year you get I don't want to say further removed from things in the building, but like in Harbor Hill, you're in the building more. There's things on the playground, and there are carnivals, and then middle school is a little bit different, and we try to bring as much of the fun and enthusiasm that we can to the building with these types of events throughout the year. So last year, we did a food truck at the end of the year, which was wonderful and great for the staff and kids on the last day of school. So we're trying to do more of that. So we appreciate your support, not just financially, but for those of you that are not on our PFA board yet and would like to get involved, we'd love to have you. So feel free to see one of us after at the end of it today, or email. All of our info is up there and on your lovely piece of paper. And we want to just, above all of this else, welcome you to the high school, not the middle school. Sorry, you said middle school. I know, sorry. Welcome you officially to the high school, and we are so happy you're here.
And we are a good resource, as Dr. Lazarus said, if you want to have a parent to ask a question or who you're not sure who to get in touch with at the school. We've all been here in the school, and we're familiar with everybody. So if you could reach, you could always reach out to us with any questions. We're happy to be here for support. And it is really great to sign up for Future Fund, because this way you'll be in the know. You'll get all the emails of what's going on in the school and what we're doing. So we really do appreciate your signing up using the QR code that Liz mentioned.
Okay, and finally, we just want to thank the partnership of our building staff. For those of you who are first-timers here, this is an incredible staff here in this building that care, support, love our kids every single day. And our building admin, for their partnership. We kid with Dr. Lazarus quite a bit. They never say no to us, so we always bring brand new ideas for our staff and our students and our families. And as my colleagues or my friends mentioned, we couldn't do it without your support. So thank you to all of staff and our teachers, and welcome back to the new school year, I guess, right? 1 week from today.
And that week will go quickly. Thank you so much, ladies. Much appreciated. And as you walk around the building at some point, whether it be today or in the future, you'll see lots of things that have come as a result of the PFA. We have planters throughout the building that Mr. Raminetti, and in partnership with the PFA, have put together. We have a food pantry that we partner with community organizations to provide for families in need directly in our community, and that is also in a tremendous partnership with our PFA, and some of our students are involved in that. You'll hear more about that throughout the year, but the PFA really is a wonderful organization, so if you are able to join, we certainly encourage you to do so. Also on Future Fund, as the ladies mentioned, you'll also be able to join if you want to join for SEPTA, which is the Special Ed PTA, as well as the Bulldog Boosters is the Athletics PFA. That is also all through the same link on the website. One thing I forgot to mention is that these links are clickable, and I will be sending out this slide deck to everybody, so you will have it. Any information that's in here, any of the active links you'll be able to click on, and it'll take you to that information as well. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is communication. This is in our scope calendar and also in our student handbook. This really should be your go-to when you have a question. This will direct you in the perfect place. So if you have a question, whether it be about academics, like I said, the best place to start is going to be with the classroom teacher. If you can't get an answer there, then maybe you want to go on to the school counselor, or like I said, to the department chairs. But this really outlines exactly where to start. And more often than not, starting at the first step is where you're going to get your best answer. Because I know sometimes it's easier just to pick up the phone and call the principal, but more often than not, it's going to be me who has to then go back to the teacher to get the information and then get back to you. So we're cutting out a step more often than not, like I said, if you just go directly to the teacher. Doesn't mean you can't call me, doesn't mean that I'm not here to help, but if you want a quick answer, that's usually gonna be your best bet. Like I said, this is gonna be all shared out with you, so you will have this. You will live this over the next 4 years, and you will hopefully internalize all of this, so you see exactly who's here to support in what way, but we are all here. So Communication is important, and like I said, that's one of the big things of the high school, and the PFA presidents mentioned that sometimes once students get into the high school, it can become a little bit more removed for the parents, and this is a way to work around that, because sometimes students are not always forthcoming. Sometimes you come across information, whether it be from a friend or from something on our website or from a mailing that you have a question about. Those are the times that you're going to reach out and to make sure that you can stay on top of your students even if they don't necessarily want you to in that moment. So yeah, all important stuff. Primary stuff, just important contact information, like if you have general inquiries, these are the numbers that you're going to reach out to. Again, this is all accessible on our website. It's in our handbook. It's on this slide deck, which I will be sending out. Next, we're going to talk about attendance and just our student programming in general. So I'm going to throw it over to Mr. Boza, like I said, our Dean of Students.
Morning, everybody. So some of this is going to be or seem a little rigid, but I do want to go over the policies so everybody gets a handle on them. We have two different types of absences. An excused absence is something that the state has said is excusable and will not count towards our students' total absences. A verified absence is something that you know about, like your child has a doctor's appointment and is out, so you tell us that there's a note and we can still make up our work. So an excused absence would be something like a mandated court appearance, a religious observance, a college visit during junior or senior year, or school field trips. So things that do not count against the student's record as an absence are excused. All other absences can be verified to allow the students to make up work, to make sure they don't fall behind academically, but they still count to the total number of absences. If the student is going to be absent, please email us at hsattendance@roslinschools.org. Okay? Whether it's going to be excused or unexcused, whether it's going to be verified or unverified, it'll always be verified if you email it. Email about the absence, preferably before the school day starts. If the student is going to leave early, please email us in the morning before the student leaves, not after the student leaves. This helps us to keep our register of attendance accurate for the state, helps to make sure academically the students stay on track, and make sure that in the event of an emergency, which is Mr. Macias and my's primary concern, we can account for the location of all of our students and make sure everybody is safe. Unexcused absences, so that's anything besides the 3 specific ones I already listed plus the field trips, may result in the loss of credit for the course. The state requires us to have a certain number of attendance and a certain number of hours per student in order to graduate. If your student misses 10 classes in a semester-long class, so that's either the first half of the year or second half of the year, or an A-Day, B-Day class, one that only meets half the year. If they miss 10, they are potentially going to be denied credit. For a class that meets every day throughout the whole year, if they have 20 absences, they could potentially be denied credit. For a lab class, that would be science plus that 1 extra period for the lab, 30 absences per class. It's not for the full day, it's for the class. So if I go to first period and I miss second period and I do that 30 times, or if I just miss first period 30 times, that will result in an NCA and no credit will be awarded. The student would have to retake the class the next year.
So part of the rationale behind this is that we really do feel the most beneficial place for a student to be is in the classroom, because that's where the instruction occurs. And if they are missing classes, they are missing the instruction, and that is not something that can be made up on their own outside of class. We understand that students are going to get sick. We understand that things arise. And that's why we have essentially given them 10, 20/30 absences that I don't want to say are permissible, but are understandable within that. But like Mr. Boza said, this is New York State law. They very much so believe, and we agree, that students need to be in class. So in the past, there may have been some flexibility, especially coming out of COVID, but that is all behind us now. And I just want to reiterate how again, important this is something that we are going to drill very deeply into the students as we meet with them. We're going to meet with all of the 9th graders on Thursday of the first week again and go over all of this information with them. So you may have heard maybe from older kids that we might be a little flexible when it comes to attendance. That is changing. This is one of our primary focuses this year, and we need your help in that. Like I said, we will make this abundantly clear to kids, but we need them here. We need them in class. And you will be notified when they are not. And with that, I'll turn it back to you.
So in the same vein, and thank you for reminding me of this, you have a wonderful high school here. It's led by a wonderful superintendent who's hired wonderful staff to teach your students amazing lessons and prepare them for top flight colleges. They can't get all of that if they're not here. So we believe strongly in the education that we're providing in this building and that it will help your children. So they need to be here to get it. And that is the passion behind the attendance, to go with the legality of, hey, you know, the state also says. But there's a reason for it. We don't say this because we don't believe it. We want your child here to get the best education they can get. Which brings us up to another high school issue that tends to not affect middle schoolers too much: class cutting. Your students are going to be experiencing a lot of freedom here. They have 9 periods of the day. They're going to have unscheduled periods. They're going to have lunch. They may have older siblings or older friends from the block who have off-campus privileges if they're juniors or seniors. Our freshmen do not have off-campus privileges, so they are supposed to stay on campus. But if they decide to go have lunch with a friend who has a different lunch period and they miss social studies or science or art, that will be considered a cut, which will be considered an absence and goes to the total. Cutting will come with consequences. We are going to have after-school detention available every day. Hopefully our kids aren't going to need it because your kids are going to go to class. But if they cut class, they will be getting after-school detention. If they're seniors and they're cutting class, which your children aren't, they could lose their parking privileges. All right? We believe firmly that class is the best place for our students to be and to learn, and that they miss out on vital experiences when they're not there. Okay? If your student is an after-school athlete, or in a play, or in the band, or the concert, the orchestra, the color guard, and they have an after-school performance or game, they must attend 4 classes that day in order to participate in the extracurricular activity. So if you're taking them out for a doctor's appointment, don't take them out before they've been to 4 classes, or bring them back afterwards. Please make sure of that, because we don't want anybody to miss out on their extracurriculars because they were not in school. All right. If you have an appointment, doctor's appointment, dentist appointment, passport appointment, email HS support, not HS support, HS attendance before you go, okay, before the appointment, so that we can know and that the child is verified. If the child misses 1 class, goes out, comes back, and then you give us a note later that afternoon or the next day, we cannot verify that absence, okay? We must know ahead of time for the appointments, and please email the attendance and call the attendance office. We will make sure the student comes down when you get there. It does help if you contact through us, and please don't contact your child directly through their cell phone. 1, they're not supposed to have it in the building, and they could get in trouble for that.
That's the next slide, don't worry.
2, when you contact the student directly through the cell phone, or your student is in the habit of contacting you directly through the cell phone, we don't know what's happening. So if your student is feeling dizzy and they go to the bathroom and call you and say, I'm feeling dizzy, come pick me up, but they didn't tell anybody and they didn't tell the teacher and they haven't been to the nurse, they could fall down in the bathroom and we would not know. If they go to the nurse and they tell the nurse they're feeling dizzy and the nurse calls you, they have a safe place to wait with somebody who's attentive to their health needs while you come to get them. So it's very important that contact with your students goes through the office both ways, so that we are always aware of where your student is at and of their safe condition. The bell schedule is pretty self-explanatory. Class starts at 8 o'clock. So,
We're a little bit later than the middle school, so they get an extra half hour of sleep.
which they need. But also, if you are dropping your child off at the front of the school, class starts at 8. So you want to time that line and your trip so that they're getting dropped off at 7:55, so they can make it to their class at 8.
And if you're trying to get into the parking lot at 7:55, you need to start at 7:40. I promise. If you have not seen Round Hill Road on the during drop-off, it's a sight to be seen.
And there's a near continuous line of cars coming through the loop from 7:35 until about 8:03. And we don't want our children to be late and miss instruction through things that aren't their fault. So
And,
time.
oh, sorry. And the best way to avoid that is we have district-provided transportation, and the yellow limousine gets here on time every single day.
Mr. Boza, can I just mention something, just to tie back to attendance and being on time and not tardy? 3 latenesses equal 1 absence. So the tardies also add up, and then they become a part of your cumulative absence for the course. So just remember that.
Thank you, Ms. Baptiste. As you can see, the periods are 41 minutes. The students have lunch based on their own individual schedule, so there's no 9th grade lunch period. It will be as the schedule goes. And extra help is from 2:44 to 3:14, and that's Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Yep, exactly like the middle school. Right after school, our day ends at 2:44, right into extra help, and then Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, we end at 3:14.
So, the whole reason there was a cutout of me at the senior party with the cell phone jail. As you know, last year the state passed a law saying that students may not have personally enabled internet devices on them. And it does fall to me to be the primary face of that enforcement. And I will take a moment to explain to you why I strongly believe in this law. I came out of middle school in the city. And as you know, many of our teenagers or our preteens all have Instagram. And they don't use the teen account, which they just created. They have the real accounts. 90% of the fights that we had at the school, 97% of the bullying we had at the school, happened on Instagram, and it happened over the weekend. And then students came in on Monday and they were unprepared to learn. And the students here don't necessarily bring me their Instagram drama, but it's happening also. And the one thing that we don't have, that we had as children, that they don't have, is a way to get away from their peers. Because their peers can follow them home on the internet, on the social apps, and basically the harassment doesn't stop if it's occurring. And I've noticed that it is not a widespread problem in Roslyn, but one kid going through it is too much. So the timeout from the cell phones is very important. The ability to be able to sit down in math and go to review because you have a test tomorrow and not think about what's being posted about you and not check the phone and not be distracted is incredibly important. All right? Please, and I know your kids are getting older, and I know you think that they're getting more independent, but this is one of the times that they are most vulnerable to bad stuff through social media. Now is the time to give them the feeling that you've stepped back, but not step all the way back, because they are still kids and they are going to make mistakes, even the best of them. It doesn't make them a bad kid. It doesn't make you a bad parent. It just means they're a teenager and they're going to do things that are short-sighted occasionally. So, the actual policy, cell phones, smartwatches, mobile hotspots, Meta glasses, or any other AI glasses are not allowed at school. They can come to school, they go in the backpack or the locker, they go away. They're not to be in the students' hands while they're walking in the hallway, not on their desk while they're in class. The personal internet devices are off and away. They don't touch them.
8 a.m. to 2:44, the full day. So as soon as they walk in the building, the phone should be away. And Mr. Boza joked about the phone jail. That is a real thing. We walk around with a box. If we see the kid with the phone, we take it. And unfortunately for you, you have to come pick it up if that's the case. So please, I know sometimes it's easier just to shoot them a quick text and say, listen, I can't pick you up after school. Please don't do that. Or make sure it's something that can wait until the end of the day if they see it. If you need to contact them during the day, you have ways to do so. When we met with them earlier, we told them that they have to check their emails regularly because we are reaching out to them that way. So if you need to contact them, not ideal, but you can send them an email. Or you can call the main office and we will get the message to them. If they need you during the day, they should not be taking out their cell phone for any reason. They can come to the main office, they can go to the guidance office, they can go to the nurse's office. There are phones available for them to use. And From being in the office, I saw just how many we had to teach on how to actually make a phone call using a phone. So let this be a life lesson. So if you need them, please avoid the cell phones.
As far as devices in class, as everybody knows, the district has issued the children their own Chromebook, personal device. It has all of the apps and software that they need to engage in learning at the school. If the Chromebook is slowing down, and I've heard several complaints, please have the student bring the Chromebook into the school. Most likely they missed an update and the software will slow down. Once the Chromebook updates, it will speed back up and correct itself. They do not need you to buy an iPad or a MacBook in order to do their classwork. So if they've told you that you have to buy one for them for school, you don't. You don't have to. You may return it. They do have this Chromebook. They get to keep it through senior year. It will do everything they need.
And we very much so encourage them to use the Chromebook for a couple of reasons. There's some security issues because when they're on our Chromebooks, they have to be on our Wi-Fi. That way we can control the websites that they are going to. If they do go to a website that they're not supposed to, either it'll be blocked or we'll get notified, and then we can engage in a conversation with them and then with you. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but if they're on their own personal devices, we can't do that. So we need your help in this. And it's not to say that they can't ever have their own devices, whether they're using them at home or not, but when they're here, they should be using our devices. Because just as many of you know, you can mirror your phone, whether it be on an iPad or on a MacBook, and those are the things that we don't necessarily see in the classroom, and we are trying to avoid. We want them, like I said, we want them in class, and once they're in class, we want them paying attention to everything that's going on in class, and the distraction of the devices is one that we can very easily avoid.
Yes, and the kids are very smart and very witty because as I would walk around after they knew that I was taking cell phones, they wised up and they mirrored them on their iPad. And then they'd look at me and go, "You can't take my big phone, Mr. Bose, it's not a phone." And I said, "You're right. You're right. We didn't have that as a policy." And that was okay, and they circumvented it, and when you win one, you win one. The same way at 2:45, when they look at me and they hide their cell phone, I go, "Day's over, have your phone." It's not me. This is about priming us for education, making sure we're in a good mindset, making sure everybody is focused. It is not about, hey, I believe technology is evil, or you shouldn't have it or use it. It's about using it appropriately and at appropriate times.
And as I mentioned, like I said, if we do see the kids on their devices in the hallways or in the cafeteria, we will take them. Maybe the first week we'll give some grace and allow them to come pick it up, but after the first week of school, it's going to be you. And we did it last year for the better part of the year. Didn't go over so well. They didn't love it, but we saw a lot less kids on the phones. So that is going to be how we start this year as well. And if they continue to ignore our school policies, then that will be further conversations that we will have with them and with you. So moving on to safety and security.
Okay. This year, and all years, IDs have been very important. I understand that this is not a big change from people coming from the middle school, but by the time they've hit junior and senior year, they were not too thrilled to be carrying their ID all the time. We need our students to have their IDs. They use it to check into the building every morning. So that tells us who's in the building. They use the bathroom. They use the ID to get into the bathroom. They tap the lock and they go into the bathroom. So we know who's in the bathroom. So, and this didn't happen here. This is a story from Queens. But when we had a little kid, a sixth grader in the bathroom, and 2 eighth graders came in and started throwing things over the stall at him, he didn't know who they were. Here, that wouldn't happen because we'd know exactly who tapped into the bathroom. Okay? It is about safety, security, knowing where everybody is, and accounting for them. Additionally, they buy their lunch with the IDs, and this year, I don't know if it's ready to go for day one, but certainly by the end of September, they will be taking attendance in class by tapping their ID to come in.
So every day when they come in the building, they'll tap in. That will go into our system so we know that they're in the building. But we're also going to be doing classroom attendance to ensure their accuracy. So they will be tapping into the classes as well. That's not to get into the doors, but once they're inside the classroom, that's just a way to have a easier way for recording and a more accurate way of recording attendance.
So we do need the students to have IDs every day. The consequences for that escalate rather quickly, but they stay in the school and keep the kids in class. So it's mostly lunch detention or after-school detention if they've forgotten their ID multiple times. We already briefly touched on parent drop-off in the morning out front, so we're going to move on from that. But Uber Eats, DoorDash, all of those food delivery services are prohibited. If you would like to come and drop off food for your child, you may drop it off at the attendance office any day. But delivery services, we don't know the drivers, they haven't been vetted, they haven't been fingerprinted, they're not allowed on campus.
And we have had students who have had a food delivery driver tell the security, well, I'm their parent. We know very well who their parents are, and it's not the delivery drivers. So please have that conversation with them as well. This is, again, to protect all of us. We've been fortunate enough to have security measures put in place, and we need to make sure that we do the things that help support our security.
And Mr. Macias could tell you stories of other school districts that his co-workers at Covert Security experience all of the violations, and he comes here and goes, we need to change this so we don't have that happen. So Roslyn is very safe, but we aim to keep it that way.
Yes, indeed. And he tells all the scary stories, so we wouldn't bring him here to share those today. So next, we're going to hear from Ms. Stuber, who's going to share a little bit about the first day of school. So we're going to move on to something hopefully a little bit more positive and uplifting. But thank you, Mr. Boza.
Hi, everybody. How are you? I am Sandy Stuber. I am so excited to be your liaison through the 4 years that you're going to be at school. I know that all of you are excited. I'm sure there are some nerves. I'm sure there are some nerves with your kids. Don't worry. I promise you they are in very good hands. We are here. We are present. We're always around. And it is truly a pleasure for all of us to work together, helping all your kids succeed, as we all know you want to do. So let's talk about first day stuff really quick. I will tell you, as somebody that is here every morning, if you're there at the front and you choose to not have your kids take the yellow limousines, which are reliable and amazing and awesome, but if you choose to be their own limousine and you get here later than 7:40, be patient. I do enjoy the dogs and I enjoy seeing all the puppies in the morning in the cars, but I will tell you, if you're here past 7:40, you will be waiting. The line is long. And so it just is what it is. So I don't know if it's an incentive to get your kids up and out earlier or if it's an incentive to let them arrive via bus, but that's what you have to make sure of. One thing that's really important to note, we do request that parents do not drop your students off in the back of the building. That's where the buses are arriving. We have staff arriving there. We ask it for the safety and security of your students. We ask that you do not drop them off in the back. I know that sometimes it's a little bit more convenient than waiting in the traffic up front, but truthfully, the convenience should not overweigh their safety. Please do us a favor. Do not drop off your students in the back of the building.
And make sure you're always listening to school personnel, whether it's Mr. Macias, me, or one of the other administrators who are out front. Make sure you follow all of our directions.
So over the course of the last couple of days, there have been some room changes, things like that. As construction is being done and completed, I would feel free to print out their latest schedule, but you should also know that your 9th graders will have schedules waiting for them in their first period class on day 1 of school. Basic supplies that you want to bring: backpack, charger, their school-issued Chromebook, their school IDs. Maybe come up with some sort of system on how they're going to remember their ID every day. Whatever you need to do, those are some of the things that they want to bring. I would always have a writing utensil, maybe a notebook binder, just some first day of the school stuff. Your teachers, their teachers will give more information if there is any specific items that they need for the class. Does anybody have any questions so far? There's been a lot of information. Does anybody have any questions so far? We're good? All right. It is a closed campus for our 9th and 10th graders. They will earn the privilege of an open campus when they become upperclassmen. Our 11th and 12th graders, we do request again that if they have to leave the building for whatever reason, if you had notified attendance in advance, please don't let them go out the front doors. They must go through attendance. You have to come in and sign them out. Or a trusted adult, as long as you let us know who's going to pick them up. Does anybody have any questions on that? Awesome sauce. Extra help, we are beginning extra help the first week of school. Let's hope that that extra help is more of an introduction the first week of school. But extra help starts September 2nd, so you can let your students know that. If anybody is anxious or really nervous about a class, it'll be available then. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I'm not going to talk anymore about personal devices. That rule starts day one. There is not a grace period. Day one, no personal devices. Anybody else have any questions? I'm going to come back in a couple minutes to talk about clubs, but that's I wanted to just kind of go over first day stuff.
Thank you, Ms. Stuber. And I also just want to take a moment. So our counselors have finished their meeting with your students, so I just want to take a moment to introduce them. So if you will all stand, please, and come on down, just so they can see you all. You want to introduce the counselors? You told me to do it. Sorry. All right, up first we have Ms. Lazaro, Mr. Caruso, come on, all the way down. Ms. Brown, Ms. Messina, Mr. Geller, Mr. Tillo, and Ms. Santos. So these are your counselors. If you have not yet met them in person, you will absolutely be hearing from them and have the opportunity to speak to them over the next 4 years. They really are a wonderful resource. They've all been around for many years and have been through this quite a few times. So any questions that you have should be directed to them that they can help answer. Like I said, follow that chain of communication. Ms. Baptiste, if there's anything else you want to jump in with before we allow the counselors to go back.
No, we're fine. We'll talk about the counseling services and the counselors a little later in the presentation. But again, these are your counselors. Everyone is amazing and able to help guide your family through your high school careers. Always reach out with questions that you have. And again, I like to say that they are your children's parents in school when they're away from you. And we look at them that way. So please, if you have any concerns or need any questions, helps, anything, reach out to your counselor. They're a resource to you. Anybody want to say anything?
Oh,
Yeah, you're good?
and if you have
Okay.
reached out to them regarding any schedule changes or anything that you may have reached out, yesterday was their first day back, so they are still working through all of those emails in the order in which they came. So thank you to the counselors for everything that you've done today, and we'll continue to do. So next I'm going to throw to Ms. Graff.
Hi, folks. We're going to move as quickly as possible. I know it's been a lot of information to take in. I'm going to go over with you some of the most basic academic expectations. Obviously, high school is a time when academics come to the forefront in your family life, for your child. At Roslyn High School, there's really no shortage of paths for students to explore. I think it's one of the most beautiful and special things about the school. Ms. Baptiste, along with the counselors, and any one of us will tell you, your child will find their path. It may look different from your friend's path, from your neighbor's path, and that's perfectly fine. But we're here to help them thrive academically and to keep you in the loop throughout the process. Our grading policies are going to be, again, shared with you. You can go through them in detail. Most of our courses are graded on a numerical scale. The lowest possible quarter grade is a 50. However, there are some courses that use a pass-fail system. That will all be very clearly explained by the syllabus that your child gets from each teacher. If you have questions about that, you can reach out to a department chairperson, teacher, any one of us. You will receive at different intervals throughout the year a report of your students' progress. So you'll get interim reports available on your parent portal. That's the first kind of checkpoint in early October. And then you receive quarterly report cards for the first quarter in November. You can see the schedule for the rest of the year laid out. We kind of alluded to this before. Some courses are semester long, so in those cases you would have your child earning credit and completing the course at the mid-year mark. Other courses last for the whole school year, so the credit would be awarded at the end of the year.
And the reporting calendar is the exact same as the middle school, so if you still have students in the middle school, we're on the exact same schedule.
In our, just to touch on it briefly, we do have a policy of freshman forgiveness. Of course, we understand the transition to high school can be challenging, might affect a student's first quarter grades. So in full year classes where a student may earn a quarter 2 grade that was higher than their quarter 1 grade, maybe due to that transition or any other factors. The quarter 2 grade can replace it when we calculate the final average. So the freshman forgiveness policy only helps students. It may not apply to your kiddo. Maybe they earn, the same grade or a better grade in quarter 1, but in the case where it will help them, we give that advantage. You'll find plenty of information about this in the student handbook, and again, throughout the year, it will be there for you to reference.
And the handbook is on our website. It will be shared with students, and it will be communicated to you as well.
We touched on this as well, but the extra help will be in place in the beginning of the school year. The most important thing to note here is just to check in with your child's teachers. Sometimes extra help is given in a different room. Sometimes it's given in the morning, just to make sure that the teacher, we know where the teacher will be and at what time. That'll ensure that they can get the extra help they might need.
And now Ms. Baptiste will briefly go over the counseling center services and academic advising.
Thank you. So you did meet your counselors. Hopefully you'll get to know them extensively over the next 4 years. But again, like I said, they are here to help you. High school is a very interesting time. It's a time for a lot of growth, a lot of exploration, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of challenges and hurdles, and ones that we hope they overcome. And we help them through that process. We do so at the Counseling Center through academic advising, right? Social and emotional learning, as well as extended support services for those who need a little bit extra. So your counselors stay with you for the duration of high school. Just like the middle school, although the middle school had 1 counselor per grade, your counselor would be with you throughout your 4 years of high school. They help you with academic advising in that they will help you a little bit more intentionally than when you were in middle school picking these courses, but picking your courses every year to help build, again, as Ms. Graff said, your particular path. Your child's path should be their path, right? Finding out what their strengths and weaknesses are, finding out what courses are best for them to take, not overextending them too much, because you will always hear me say you're building a transcript in high school, and you build that transcript course by course, brick by brick. So in the end, where the outcome of secondary opportunities for students is going to be whatever that plan is for the child, right? But if it's applying to college, if it's looking to go into, vocational, trying to find a job, you're always going to be viewed through your transcript. So I say protect the transcript, build it so that it looks favorably upon the student. And that's based on their specific abilities. I say that again to say, please note that if you have any questions about that, your counselors will be there to help you. Reach out to the Counseling Center. The major way in which you can communicate with us is to email your counselors. We typically expect to get back to you within 24 hours. Again, the counselors just came back today, and I know many of you have put in schedule, they came back yesterday, sorry, and they've put in schedule changes, and we're doing them as best as possible. A schedule change, let me just be clear, is not that you want to be with your friends in a specific class. High school scheduling is a different animal. It's based on space availability. It's a huge puzzle. We work very hard to put it together to make it make sense for each child, and they may not be in courses with their friends. We just need to make sure that they have their major subjects, which is most important, and then we try to fulfill the electives as they fit in. One of the things that students are also responsible for is community service. We have a 40-hour community service requirement before they graduate from high school, and on average, our students do probably way over, maybe 100 hours. There are all kinds of activities that they can get involved in. They were able to even start doing so as of this summer, but as they complete those hours, we keep them logged and we track. Do you want to say something about that?
So even if they completed their hours during this past summer but haven't logged it yet, that's okay. They can log it throughout the year or even into next year, as long as the information is accurate and then approved by the supervisor from that organization.
Right.
They all received an email from a system called Volunteer Access. If you run into any issues or they run into any issues, just have them reach out to the Counseling Center.
Great. Profile development, we've talked about that. Counselor as your advocate, you can go on. parent portal. Your parent portal is the same portal that you've been using throughout middle school, so that is where you will track your students' information. Just do so periodically. I have some of my parents who are checking 24/7. Get off of that portal, right? Okay, you need to be doing something else. Get a hobby, get a job, get a life. Do not do that, right? Make sure, though, that your children are checking the portal as well. They can monitor what their progress is, right? Seeing what grades that they're missing. The key to success in high school is managing their time. You will see. It's time management. So checking the portal, making sure that they're not falling behind in things. The other way that we communicate on a regular basis, and you will always get emails from Tanya Baptiste, is through Parent Square. How many of you have your Parent Square accounts? Okay, if you do not, you will need to download the app. If you haven't done so already, please reach out to the counseling center. We will add instructions as to how to do that into this
And the app is
PowerPoint.
optional. You do not need it. You should already be receiving emails from the school, so anything that we
Okay,
post
fine.
through Parent Square will come to your email as long as it's accurate in Power School. If you are not receiving the emails, that's when you should reach out. If you are interested in setting up the Parent Square app, you can reach out to the tech department. They'll be more than happy to work through that with you. But if you are not already receiving emails from the school, that's where the issue lies. And then just reach out and we will work with you on that.
So most of the communication that we send out from the counseling center, all of it actually comes through Parent Square. We also, though, have a website, and a lot of the information I have posted on the website under either upcoming events or specific tabs. So if you go to the website, if you have a question, you can look and see if it's there. If not, call the counseling center and we will help. Wellness and student support. Again, counselors, as we said, we talked about the academic advising, but the social and emotional growth and support, we're always helping them through that process. We have extended services through our social workers and school psychologists and counselors. We work in tandem together, and we work as a team to help support every single student. Some may need just a pat on the back. Some may need some extensive counseling on a regular basis. And then if we need more than that, we have a partnership with Northwell Behavioral Health Center where we can refer students and families there for additional help and additional support. Talked about that. Anything
And that's
else?
it for you, Ms. Baptiste.
Is
Thank
it
you.
cool? Okay, thank you.
And you can hand it over to Ms. Samide, who's going to speak to us. We are almost at the end, so I know we've been here for quite a while, and I do appreciate your time.
So just wanted to say a very quick hello. My name is Cindy Samide. I'm the Director of PPS and Special Education. I work with Marnie Cohen, for those who know her, in my office. And we are really here to work with you, your students, all of the chair people in the building, just to make sure that anyone who may have a disability has what they need to access curriculum and to find success. Just want to take a minute to congratulate all of you for being here, for having your students graduate from middle school and moving up to the high school. It's definitely an exciting time, but I know it's also a time that's filled with some nerves as parents, so want to just take a minute to acknowledge all of you. If anyone needs anything, our office is always open. We're always available to speak with anybody and help in any way that we can. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Samide. And now, finally, before we conclude, Ms. Stuber is going to speak a little bit about clubs.
Hi, I'm back. So I get to finish this off with all good things. We have so many clubs at this school. There is something that's going to interest every single one of your students. Let me get out of your photos for lots of reasons. The club information is on the website. If you go into Roslyn High School, go to student information. There's a club drop down there. It's updated. You're going to see all the clubs that are available for the 26-27 school year. Cannot believe we're in that year. If you have any questions through the course of the year, do not hesitate to give me a call, an email, whatever you may want. If your students want to have conversations with me about clubs, they are able to set up meetings with me, and they come into my office, and they talk to me about clubs, and they have questions, and all sorts of great things. It is one of the most fun things that I get to do because I get to meet all of your students in a really nice way, and they approach it like business people, and it's really fantastic. So I'm going to stop talking because we already talked about community service. Again, feel free to email me. Congratulations, and I'll be here.
Yes, and through our website really is a tremendous resource for all of you. We have a lot of information there. Most of the communications that we have are up there in some regard or another. Ms. Baptiste's Counseling Center website is really robust, and on there we have a new student essential guide, which I will link in the email that I send to you with all of the information, and you will be able to review that with your kids. Important information that they'll need to know coming in on day one. Good? Okay. So, this was a lot. I appreciate you hanging on with us. I don't expect you to remember everything. I don't want you to even try and remember everything. We will be sending this out to you. This has been live streamed, so I'll be sending out the link as well. Like I said at the beginning, this is day one of a 4-year journey. Be patient with yourselves, be patient with your kids, and always reach out if you have any questions or concerns. Encourage your kids as the year goes on to get involved. That's the best way for them to feel connected, to develop that sense of belonging that I was talking about. Get involved. And same for you, whether it be through the PFA or just being in contact with your students' teachers. Once again, officially, welcome to the high school. We are so happy to have you and your children. I thank you for coming. Please don't hesitate to reach out with any questions. Thank you again.
And if you have any questions, we'll hang around and we can answer. I thank everyone who filled out the survey and listed some questions that they may have, and I hope we
Yes.
answered them. And please support, iced coffee is outside.